Our story begins in the Parker home, within the Regency domain of Battleworld. This area is a version of New York City, featuring some all too familiar characters. Mary Jane is chastising her husband, Peter Parker, for making more web fluid at the dinner table. But Spider-Man doesn't want to be running out on his next patrol. His wife is worried as Peter has been busy lately. He's not sure what's up, but it seems like the other heroes of New York, Moon Knight, Daredevil, Iron Fist, they've all been taking it easy, and Peter feels like he's been picking up the slack. MJ thinks he should explain to them that he has a wife and kid now, but Parker doesn't think it works that way. Mary Jane points out that their young daughter Annie is also getting old enough that she's starting to pick up on her father's double life. So Peter vows to keep his superhero antics out of the house. Not long after this, Peter arrives at the Daily Bugle with a fresh set of Spider-Man pictures, only to find that the paper can't publish photographs like this right now. The mayor is trying to avoid a citywide panic, as rumor is the superheroes of New York City are being killed off. The Punisher, Moon Knight, and some kid going by the name Night Thrasher have all been found dead, while others, including Iron Fist and Daredevil, have gone missing. Peter panics at this news and goes to the Avengers mansion, hoping to find some answers. Jarvis greets Spider-Man and says the others are already here. It turns out the Avengers are aware of this problem and have gathered the surviving heroes to figure out what is going on. Heroes without powers are being killed off, while those with special abilities are going missing. Xavier's school and all the X-Men have recently disappeared. Shocked, Spider-Man asks Iron Man why he hasn't heard about this before, but Tony simply reminds him that he's always been a bit of a loner and isn't the easiest person to get in touch with. Peter confides in his fellow hero that he has a wife and a baby girl to worry about. He can't risk losing them, or them losing him. Iron Man says he didn't know that, and offers to let them stay here at the mansion. But this will blow Peter's secret identity wide open. That identity is what always held Peter back from being a full-fledged member of the Avengers. However, if he's willing to share with them his secret identity, they'd be honored to have him on as a full-time member. This is all too much for Peter, so he calls his wife to see what she thinks. MJ isn't sure what to do, and asks if they'll have to all wear masks and adopt code names. Before she can continue, the doorbell rings. Meanwhile, Captain America is discussing a likely suspect, Augustus Roman, CEO of Empire Unlimited, a company researching superhuman powers and abilities. A call then comes out from Hawkeye. There's been a full-scale prison break over at Rikers. Captain America knows this can't be a coincidence, so he orders everyone to confront Augustus Roman as a team. But a thought of dread occurs to Peter. He knows somebody who is staying at Rikers. Somebody who knows him very well too. As the Avengers set out to face Roman, Iron Man is surprised to find Spider-Man is gone. Peter races back home only to find Venom waiting to greet him. The villain taunts Peter, but the hero doesn't even listen. Peter goes into a fury, attacking Venom without holding an ounce of strength back. Bones shatter and crack in Spider-Man's body, but he doesn't care. Mary Jane and Annie flee. However, she has no idea where to go. Meanwhile, the Avengers close in on Empire Unlimited until Roman appears before them, a changed man. He declares himself regent of this domain and demands the surrender of the Avengers. They assemble, but are no match for this new enemy. When the Hulk attacks, Regent grabs the hero's arm and teleports it clear off. Somehow, this man now has every one of the X-Men's powers, and soon, he'll have the powers of the Avengers too. Today begins the Age of Regent. Mary Jane continues to flee from Venom, but the symbiote gives her chase. She comes across a building that's on fire, and, thinking on her feet, she forces her way into a fire engine and turns on the sirens. This incapacitates Venom long enough for Peter to catch up. Parker attacks his enemy relentlessly, forcing the villain into the fiery building. The heat affects Spider-Man almost as badly as it does Venom, but the two manage to keep fighting anyway. But Peter is thinking very differently from what his old enemy is used to. Parker manages to collapse a major support structure on top of the villain. Venom is shocked. Spider-Man would never do this. But Peter makes it clear that this monster will never threaten his family again. Eddie Brock and the symbiote die as Peter emerges from the flames. He did what he had to do. This was the day that the Avengers died. Every last hero died, even Spider-Man. Only Peter Parker lived on. A dad in a stupid red and blue suit. Peter learned that day that what trumps great power is an even greater responsibility. As the Vulture carries out a nearby mugging, Parker focuses on Annie, who he reminds to always look both ways before crossing the street. It's not a perfect world, but he looks after him and his, and that's good enough. Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and this is my recap and review of The Amazing Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows, number 1. Yep, it's another Secret Wars tie-in. I hope you guys like this one, though. So you ready for this review? Because I'm going to have to be brutally honest. I hope you're sitting down, because here we go. This is one of the best Spider-Man comics I have read in years. And that includes quite a few comics I really like. Superior Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, and even all that stuff with Miles Morales. Yeah, this little comic here trumps all of them in my eyes. Honestly, it's one of the best Spider-Man comics I've read, period. So why do I think this? Well, some of you probably already know why simply from the recap. But maybe others don't quite see what I see in this issue. This was a Spider-Man story that was new and different, but also one that tells us a lot about Peter. We've never quite seen Parker at this phase in his life, and the shift away from superheroics is one that feels natural given the situation. And then there's the art and writing, which really work well in this comic. The panels are a little weird at times, like I'm not sure why Tony looks so angry in a helmet, but it works when it's needed, like with this brilliant, desperate showdown with Venom. The artist did a great job at conveying the chaos of this fight, as well as Peter's desperate sense of urgency, which is also depicted very nicely through Peter's own internal monologue. But what really sells me on the comic is this ending. We learn that some responsibility is more important to Peter than his vow as Spider-Man, which informs something that I think is important here. Parker outright murders somebody in this comic, but it felt natural. Not for Spider-Man, as killing seems completely out of this character's wheelhouse, but it feels true to Peter Parker as a husband and a father. And that is what works so well here, is that this feels like a natural conclusion to what happens if Peter gets a wife and child. Being a parent changes your focus and your priorities, so it becomes incompatible with being a superhero, and especially being a responsible hero like Spider-Man. So him both quitting and being driven to kill as part of this story felt quite warranted, and I really like this story on the whole. This comic exists in a complicated little world of continuity. To really understand what's going on here, you need to know what's going on with Secret Wars, what One More Day is, the fact that Peter and Mary were going to have a child one day, and yeah, some people probably don't even know that Mary Jane and Peter Parker used to be married for a while. I can't possibly explain all of this in one small review video, so you might have to do some Googling to catch yourself up. But if you do understand, and if you know Spider-Man like I do, this issue is kind of a big deal. I miss MJ's relationship with Peter. They're a real team and a great example of a solid couple in fiction. It was so great to see them working together as a team against Venom again, and as a long-term Spider-Man fan, it's a real pleasure to be able to review a comic like this. I doubt any of this will be permanent. I mean, the real version of Peter Parker is running around the core Secret Wars series right now. But I don't really care about this story's explicit continuity either. It was a good tale and one that showed us a new side to Peter Parker. So I thoroughly enjoyed this comic. And yeah, recommended, thumbs up, check out this comic if you know what's good for you. And the best part about all of this is only issue number 1. For one thing, I'm very curious to see how Peter adapts to a civilian life. That should be quite interesting to see. And the other cool thing is, while it's pretty easy to ignore someone like this, it's awfully difficult to ignore something like this. Sooner or later, fascism comes knocking on your door, and Peter will have to deal with the Regency, and I am very eager to see how things go down with the rest of this miniseries. Let me know what you'd like to see out of Renew Your Vows in the comments section below. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.